All right, we're ready to start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do have a quorum. Today is October 1st, 2024. We are here for a Taos Municipal School Board of Education special board meeting. Approximate time is 4:45 p.m. I would like to call this meeting to order. Ms. Ryle, can you call for the roll?
President Flores,
Here.
Vice President Sprague,
Here.
Secretary Trujillo, Board Member King,
Here.
Board Member Concha.
Item C is the Pledge of Allegiance. I will go ahead and lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice President Sprague, would you be so kind to lead us in the land acknowledgement statement?
You mean read it? I don't remember what it is, but yes, I'd be happy to. It is respectful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on the historic homeland of the Red Willow people within the original territory of Taos Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Red Willow people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to the superintendent.
President Flores, members of the board, at this time, I'd like to offer a moment of silence in memory of a young woman, Ari Gentet, from Taos High School that we lost 2 years ago during homecoming week. We also pray for the safety of our current students celebrating homecoming events this week. May they make safe choices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent, for the kind words. Moment of silence. Item E is approval of the meeting agenda. Any proposed changes to the meeting agenda?
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Second.
Second, you call for the roll.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague.
Yes.
President Flores.
Yes. Item F is public comment. We have no members of the public in the audience. I don't see anyone online. So we'll go ahead and move through public comment to item G of old business. GA is review and revise superintendent evaluation template. Myself presenting. So board, in the last meeting, we actually prior to the last meeting, we started the revision and review of the current evaluation tool used for the superintendent. We did a lot of work making revisions to that document. We were also provided with auxiliary document that is utilized in other districts for reference. We carried that meeting over to our last regular board meeting where the item was tabled to be revisited today. So we are here to revisit that subject and make any final revisions through discussion of the superintendent's evaluation tool for this evaluation of our superintendent. Superintendent, you have a document in here for reference?
Yes, President Flores. I went right ahead and reviewed what was submitted by our legal and compared it to the updated form that we've kind of been revising in the last few meetings. And I did add a couple of recommendations, if I may so suggest. And so first one is in category 1 when it comes to board relation. I thought it prudent to include a category 1.4, maximizing communication with the board regarding district fiscal reports. And being that the board's main role, of course, is the overseeing of all the fiscal and budgetaries, I wanted to make sure that put that in there as part of the responsibility of the superintendent to provide you with, and the board with, district fiscal reports. Next update, I suggest recommending is, I believe, in category 4. As part of staff relations, I'm suggesting and recommending we put in indicator 4.5, fosters and supports an open and honest relationship with union representation, including but not limited to the collective bargaining process. And the last one I believe I have is category 6, organizational management. In reviewing what we've been working on, I noticed 6.1 through 6.4, for all intent and purposes, addresses the financial aspect of it, the technology, the facilities maintenance and operations, and safety in 6.4. So I wanted to also include an area of human resources as part of the organizational management. And so 6.4, I just added a little bit more verbiage or the recommendation. It reads, establishes procedures, practices, and communication for dealing with emergencies such as weather threats to the school, student violence, and trauma. And the verbiage I wanted to add was ensuring a conducive educational environment. And so 6.5 is one that specifically, again, as it relates to the other departments as well, but in this one for human resources, monitors personnel procedures for effective recruitment, employment, and retention of highly qualified teachers, administrators, and other personnel, including a fair and meaningful employee evaluation system, promoting high expectations for all staff. And so by putting indicators 6.1 through 6.5, I'm able to, as superintendent, the evaluation reaches every component of the district. Academics is actually in category, in case there's a question of why was academic not included, that's actually in category 3, what talks about instructional leadership. And so I didn't feel the need to suggest or recommend 6.6 because category 3 has its instructional leadership component already built into the evaluation tool.
I had something that caught my eye in reviewing the tool that was provided us for reference in regards to, and I kind of listed it, maybe we should put it under staff relations or now with the recommendation of instructional leadership. It is found in this reference guide, and you find my here. We have what I thought would be appropriate and wanted the board to consider this. It's in part 2. And I think it's something that we should either put in staff relationships, but I think in talk from hearing the superintendent speak, probably fits best under instructional leadership is item D on school effectiveness. The superintendent ensures that principals through classroom observations provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers in their classroom pedagogy. I don't know how the board feels or the superintendent feels, but I feel that with putting that in the job evaluation and or the superintendent's evaluation tool, that it ensures that the superintendent is keeping principals accountable for being present in the classroom, observing teachers and providing actionable and objective feedback. So I think we should add that to.
I would recommend under instructional leadership.
Yes.
I have something to add to that, Mark.
Okay.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so happy you mentioned that. Dr. Layton, maybe you don't know yet because you're so young here. And I don't know what Texas does, but I was told some time ago that under state law, the principals are required to check lesson plans every week, or not the principals, the teachers are required to turn them in. So the principal has an overview of what what they're doing with their lesson plans.
Okay.
That's a state law that we do not follow. So that could maybe fit in with what Mark just suggested with that one, instructional leadership, and that would be part of it, kind of, that any state laws that we might not be following, like that one particularly, that the principals will be up to date on that the teachers are actually doing lesson plans every week.
And so that would be an evaluation component for principals, so I'm
Right,
kind of.
right,
figuring out-
however we could feather it into making sure that the superintendent does have an eye on that.
And as it states in this tool here, so the verbiage on item D of management and supervisory skills in relation to the superintendent on-site school effectiveness. Because the superintendent can't be at every school site every day, and that is where the principals come into play.
Mhm.
That the superintendent ensures that principals through classroom observations provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers on their classroom pedagogy. I don't know if we need to use the word pedagogy, and then I also don't feel that we need to include on a semi-annual basis. We just ensure that the superintendent is ensuring that the superintendent ensures that principals through classroom observations provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers.
Isn't pedagogy just another word for teaching, basically?
It's a pedagogy is another word, but it's a type of teaching.
Yes, right.
The art of science.
Mhm.
So maybe what we need to do is just the verbiage should read ensures that principals through classroom observations provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers. To ensure.
And I would recommend to teachers and staff,
Okay,
only because our site principals
Mhm.
oversee more than just teachers.
Mhm. And how would you finish out that sentence?
Let me see, ensures, the principals through classroom observations. And
support through feedback to teachers.
classroom observations and
We could also say something like, and assures that state laws are being followed.
so I'm thinking ensures that principals through classroom observations and evaluation processes provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff, which follows all state
Guidelines.
guidelines and all state guidelines and regulations.
I would say regulations.
Let me write that one down, that one sound.
Mhm.
Okay, but I don't have any sound. I don't hear him.
We use
Turn up the volume on your computer.
How do I do that? I never do that.
Secretary Trio, we can hear you.
We can hear you loud and clear.
FaceTime.
At least until they get it there.
You want to call her and tell her we can hear? Because I don't think she can hear us.
I'm gonna text Maria and let her know.
Yeah.
Because she's on the phone.
Okay, okay. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Secretary Trio. Hello. We can hear you.
Can you hear them yet?
Oh, no. I took let's see, speakers, built-in microphone, same as, there's Mark. Hi, Mark.
Secretary Jill.
I'm trying to,
We can hear you on this end. Can you hear us?
Now she's mute.
can you hear? I can,
There we
I
go.
think no, I'm hearing you.
Can you hear us?
Think I can hear you here.
Maybe she should turn her volume up if she doesn't.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
Stay with on the phone so I can, till I work on this. On this sound.
Volume.
Let me see.
We can hear you.
A long time. Sorry. So sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
You,
Sometimes it's easier to do it on your phone.
It is, she's good at that, she does meetings.
I can hear you very low, but I can't, I don't know where to raise up my volume.
Yeah.
So if you can go ahead and leave the phone on, I can watch and mess around with this for a minute.
I don't know if it'll,
Yeah,
can you hear us?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay. It might provide an echo, yeah. On that side.
It is.
Where is my,
Is it okay if I may, we can recommend just a quick bit better than break so we can get the technical
Yeah.
issues.
Okay,
That's a good
we'll take a 5-minute break.
okay, I'm sorry.
Now see if her grandkids are there. The ones in high school. The kids are amazing. Just see, ask her.
Are your grandkids there that might be able to help you?
No. Not on
Try
this one.
In the space bar.
Just a
Yeah.
built-in internal speaker. Built-in.
Did you hear Anna?
There's also a button on your keyboard there that looks like,
Right,
on the upper right, it looks
telephone, I'm not a
Yeah.
cell phone, but a speaker.
like a speaker or a megaphone. There's like a symbol for the megaphone or speaker on your keyboard.
It's just a recording, the YouTube, the sign in and the view. And then up here,
On your keyboard, not on your screen.
It's the space bar.
Yeah, look at your,
Keyboard.
oh,
you know,
oh no, what am I doing?
I know he's 7 or 8.
he grew up with this. Ask him.
She said no, then none of the grandkids are there.
No. Mute auto, stop video, chat, invite, record, audio options, like give me.
That's it.
I'll go computer audio. Leave computer audio, add on test.
Go for coffee in bed.
No, I would do Zoom on my cell phone. When we had a
Yeah,
rotary.
I
I said
do,
with COVID, it was,
I do. Mama.
what it would do, it would turn, my camera would come on and I would be upside down for a minute. Everybody was like,
Anna, we are also.
Yes,
I think we're recording.
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
I can't see that.
Secretary, and still utilize the little bit of volume you have on the computer.
I'll just I'm bringing it into my kitchen. I'm not in the kitchen at all. I'm not in there. Lower that TV, Alessandro.
He is around. Have him come and look.
You don't wanna have your grandson look at the computer. You might be able to find the volume on it.
Yeah, call him in there. He'll surprise you. Cause that's all he knows. Is a computer.
Board Member Trujillo, if you can hear me, it should be F12 on your device, I think is the value, is the speaker. Dr. Layton, do you see F9, F10, like around that area for her, to push up the volume on your Apple? Or anyone there that has an Apple, it should be the F12 button.
Usually I can go here to the audio, without the audio, built-in output, built-in system.
No, it's on your keyboard, Susan. On your keyboard, not on your screen.
Look on your keyboard, hit
F12.
And the audio, Microsoft Team audio.
Board Member Trujillo, I think you lowered the volume. I think you're right in the right area. You just need to go a few buttons to the right to go up on the volume.
I can hear you now. I can hear everybody.
Okay, we're gonna go in and then cut the phone off.
All right. Resume.
Okay, well, let's go. Secretary Trujillo, can you speak so we can see if we can hear you? We can't hear you now. $3507.
You see that historical debate?
They're all historical.
Yeah.
We can't hear you though.
I know.
I don't know what you did, but you can hear us now. We can't hear you.
This is the guy from Missouri.
Okay, I'm joking.
We're gonna go ahead and get started, Secretary Trujillo, for the sake of time.
Maybe she's supposed to do it on your phone.
We're gonna keep you on my phone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's gonna work though. There's an echo.
Now talk to her.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We'll try this, I
It's not
guess. Okay, so did you?
Board Member Trujillo, you gotta leave it on mute. Or else it's gonna continue to echo.
Oh, I see, okay. All right.
Okay, Superintendent. There's still an echo.
I'm off the phone.
Can you hear us, Secretary Trujillo? Okay, you're on mute now. Unmute it. We can't hear you.
Okay,
Now, there you go. Okay, we're good to
Okay.
go.
okay.
President Flores, what I went right ahead and added, as discussed prior, 3.5 under instructional leadership, and it reads as follows, if you are okay with it, if the board is okay with it. Ensure that principals through classroom observations and evaluation processes, provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff.
I think that's,
There was one more. which was-
Regulations, state regulations.
And follows all state guidelines and regulations.
Perfect.
And that's 3.5.
Yeah,
you want to read that back to?
I sure will. Ensures that principals, through classroom observations and evaluation processes, provides actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff, which follow all state guidelines and regulations.
How about just maybe mixing the X and put which follows state guidelines and regulations, or,
Instead of all, I mean, it's implied once you say state guidelines.
yeah, or put, instead of and, just take the end out, and put which follow state guidelines and regulations. So how it sounds like that.
Okay, let's see, so it provides actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff, which follow state guidelines and regulations. I'll read it in its entirety one more time. Ensures that principals, through classroom observations and the evaluation processes, provides actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff,
But what about adhering to state guidelines and regulations?
which, okay,
that's good.
which adhere to state guidelines and regulations. I'll read it one more time. Ensures that principals, through classroom observations and the evaluation processes, provide actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff, which adhere to state guidelines and regulations.
I like it. You.
Yeah.
Good
So that,
suggestion, Mark.
so that was a suggestion there, and if I may, if I could just go through a couple other suggestions, we'll see how the board feels, and then we'll just go down the line.
Okay,
So going back to, board relations, I was thinking somewhere in there, it might be important to add, to what I'm thinking, 1.3, where it reads recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. I found in this tool that was presented to us, some language that we might be able to utilize that states so the language I like to include is interprets, executes, and supports board policy. So maybe on 1.3, we could put recommends, interprets, executes, and supports appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration, or maybe read it as recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. And I don't know if we need to put interprets or execute and supports, because we could have a superintendent that doesn't really execute and support the board policy.
right, what number are you on these?
It's part 1,
Uh-huh,
item C under policy.
got it.
It says
Oh, interprets, executes, and supports.
board policy. So I was thinking.
Yes,
So on 1.3 of the evaluation tool that we revised, we have recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. So yes, the superintendent can recommend policy issues, but will the superintendent execute and support the policy issues
Interprets, yeah,
and interpret it?
I
So
think we should have that. Thank you.
Do you think interprets, recommends, and what was the actionable item?
Execute.
Executes appropriate policies to the board, well,
We'll also recommend.
so the language, so what we have right now is recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. Maybe we need to add a 1.5 right below, or 1.4 right below that. That just says interprets, executes, and supports board policy.
You said it right the first time. It'd be 1.5, because superintendent's already at it in
No,
red.
that would go down to 1.
That would go down to 1.5.
yeah, I can add,
So we're gonna make it 1.4?
Yeah,
Okay,
Because the superintendent could recommend appropriate policy, but he also needs to interpret it to staff. Needs to ensure that it's being executed and also supported.
Right.
Can you read that one, President Flores, if you can, so I can type it in?
Interprets, executes, and supports board policy. Or what we could actually do also, so what you type there, so what the language actually says on this one, it says understands role in the administration of board policy. Period. Interprets, executes, and supports board policy.
And that
You want to
was,
put recommends in there
That's
also?
item C. So recommends, it would be right above it.
I think we should be able to figure out a way to make 1.3 and
Four together,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do.
I think so. I would say recommends, interprets, executes, and supports.
Appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. So I think what 1.3 is the introduction of like new policy or amendments to the policy. So the superintendent seeing, this isn't working or we need a policy for that. So the superintendent would recommend appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. And at that point, the board would adopt it. And then we need something in there where the superintendent can actually interpret it to staff, meaning have a meeting or at the school site where it's not being followed, interpret, executes, and supports board policy, unless we could mesh them together somewhere. Recommends appropriate policy issues for the board for consideration, period, and then just put interprets, executes, and supports board policy.
The only, I agree, that one, we would be able to merge it, President Flores. If we decide, or if y'all decide, we all decide is to separate the two. So during the evaluation process, there would be an evaluation of recommending appropriate policy through the year, and that's how it would be evaluated. And then for any existing policies,
Yes.
it could be separate, because, and that's why, as much as I would like to merge the two,
Okay, so then.
I think it's important to separate it, because on the other one, it's all the other policies, including those that are considered.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I would go by the recommendation you had, to have 1.4,
Mhm.
interprets, executes, and support all board policy.
And then you bump 1.4 in the red down to 1.5.
That is correct. And 1.5 would be maximizes communication with the board regarding district fiscal reports.
And then, my other recommendation was supports the collective bargaining process and has an open, honest relationship with the union. Let's find the way the superintendent worded it there. And then the other recommendation I had was ensures principals through classroom observation. Provide actual and objective feedback, so we included that, and then I like what he put in the conducive learning environment. I had somewhere there that assures a safe physical and emotional environment for staff and students under values and ethics.
Mhm.
Because I think, in regards to like harassment claims,
Bullying.
or student harassment. I mean, that does kind of blur into values and ethics in regards, and so I think under 7, we would add a 7.4 that would state, and it's found here in your reference guide. It would be part 3B, educational environment. And I just shortened the verbiage, but as it reads in this tool, it says assures that a secure and safe physical and emotional environment exists that is conducive to enhancing educational opportunities within the district. I think we just need to state that under values and ethics, that the superintendent assures a safe physical and emotional environment for staff and students.
Okay. And that would be under five?
Under seven,
It's 7.4. 7
it would be a 7.4.
Does it say somewhere that the superintendent also wants to ensure physical and emotional
That's-
safe environment for staff?
Yeah, so assures a safe physical and emotional environment for staff and students,
Oh,
or
staff.
students and staff,
I would say students and staff.
students
Yeah.
and staff.
So that was
Okay.
students, okay, so
Perfect.
ensures, this is, on the this one,
Yeah, so it would be, part 3. B,
ensures,
and I just started it, assures a safe physical and emotional environment for students and staff.
Mhm.
a secure and safe. Ensures
Assures a safe, I think,
physical. Emotional.
environment for students and staff. And that was my homework. I'll go and turn it over to Vice President Cynthia for any recommendations she had for
Okay,
discussion.
thank you, Mark. President Claus, thank you. Two of them that you said were of concern to me too, and thank you for, you did a really nice job with that. I only had one beside those that you mentioned, and that was because this is, again, not about this particular superintendent, but in general, I think it's really important for a person to know, based on what they look at, based on what they see they'll be evaluated for, to not have any surprises. And on part 1 of the addendum that we got, that Mark was working off of, the instrument that I think Elena Gagos gave us. Under part 1B, it says criticism, and they say seeks and accepts constructive criticism, and I changed that a little bit because I don't think it's always criticism, but seeks and accepts constructive critique. I think that's important because in my job, evaluations of other people and other jobs, that's something that comes up frequently, is that I'd like the person to know that it's not going to be a bad thing like a criticism, but a critique, and just opens the door for conversation. I think it's kind of important to include something like that.
I agree with you with that. I think somewhere,
If it's in here, I missed it, so.
And Mark, excuse me, President Mark. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
ma'am. Yes.
And my take on this, and I asked Dr. Layton, and that might be kind of looking at it in this, through his perspective too, is just going ahead and I think you used the term maybe merging what he felt was something that would be, could be evaluated on his part, that he was totally comfortable with, but yet at the same time, knowing that he has a relationship with a board. So my request to him was, see if you can put something together, and then what you all are doing is tweaking it. If that's what seemed okay, and I believe is that what you did, Dr. Layton?
Secretary through here, yes, in fact, that's what is the board, here are reviewing.
Yes.
The feedback that I provided, and so what we're doing is tweaking.
Yes.
Some of it, and so.
Yeah.
Vice President, which section was that in particular?
Of what Elena sent us, it was part 1, B,
A,
and it talks about
1B.
criticism, and I really don't like that. I don't expect to, or really want to have it identified as a criticism. I just think the seeking and accepting of constructive critique is a really important thing for anyone who has a job to be willing to do. And I think if it's in writing, it just reminds people of it, maybe.
So I can add a 1.6 that allow in category.
For me, that would work.
Seats. And.
I
accepts.
just changed criticism to critique, but it's not, I'm not set in stone on any of it, just that I think that it's fair to let people know that there will be back and forth conversation about that.
What,
How about dialogue?
if I may recommend some.
Dialogue's fine.
Some verbiage,
Uh-huh.
solicits and,
They say seek, but solicit instead of seek,
Could that be under communications?
or is that,
It's two,
okay,
because under communications, it says the superintendent demonstrates and utilizes the skills necessary to establish two-way communication, not only with students, staff, and parents, and the community as a whole, including beneficial relationships with media. The superintendent responds appropriately to community feedback and builds community support for the district. So
that's more like PR, all that,
Yep.
isn't it?
correct, and in fact, this would be me
Board
seeking,
relations.
soliciting and.
from the board,
From the
Uh-huh,
board
board.
specific.
okay,
And there was a verb, I just lost the verb right now that it wasn't seek and accepts, but acknowledges.
Acknowledges, I like the word acknowledge. Cause sometimes,
Acknowledge.
The
excuse me,
critique.
Yeah.
Acknowledges,
Mhm.
and there's a.
Or seeks open dialogue.
could we add that to
Yes,
1.1? Effectively communicates and works with all members of the board, including but not limited to board meetings, seeking and acknowledging. Because right there, that there's no commas in that first sentence in 1.1, we put effectively communicates and works with all board members, with all members of the board, including but not limited to board meetings, seeking and acknowledging.
I think it gets lost.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
So I
think
think
it's a
we-
bullet point that you.
Yeah, it needs to be in its own, cause
Yeah.
I think it's important. You said critique, but I like seeking and accepting constructive dialogue.
That's fine, whatever. you
Dialogue,
wanna use
constructive dialogue
with the board.
from,
Cause dialogue it could be any form.
Well, this is under board relations, so it would be implied with the board. What do you think, Mark? Dialogue or critique? It doesn't matter to me. I just want it, like you said, to be a bullet point of its own.
Yeah,
Well, and-
no, cause it'll get lost.
we don't have to necessarily choose one
What
or the other,
about
we could put.
critique through dialogue? Because we have an open conversation about, it's not superintendent, you're not doing this right, you know, or
Solicits, it acknowledges, solicit dialogue.
Solicit,
I go back to where you were saying, President Ford.
I think seek is better word.
Solicits, it acknowledges. You like seeks better? Seek.
Yes, solicit,
And acknowledges constructive,
seeks,
critique through open dialogue with the board.
Perfect. I like that, don't you? That's how we are.
because it is good, it's good to critique, I mean, to be able to accept it, I mean, that's how we all become.
yes, I like
Right.
seeks and accepts. The dialogue that has transpired between the superintendent and us. Because there has to be an acceptance of, in the agreement or agrees.
And Secretary Trujillo, if I may, President Flores, the only component of that one is it requires a superintendent to accept the critique no matter.
I think, you know, he needs to acknowledge it, just, I think acknowledgement is better, you know, I hear you, board member or President Flores, that's acknowledging. He might not agree with my critique, but he's acknowledging it, and being a board member and his supervisor, I acknowledge it and we will work to address it. I mean, he might not be fully accepting of it. My wife wants me to cut my hair, she's not accepting of it, but she acknowledges that.
so
I hear you.
Did we say constructive dialogue in there?
Seeks and acknowledges constructive critique through open dialogue with the board.
Yes,
Perfect.
I like that. Yes, yes.
this is one, right? The part-
No, it's
1.6. Yes.
Well, I'm just saying, yeah,
Yeah,
Category
it's
one,
separate.
yes.
yeah.
Yep.
Actually,
And a lot of
In
this
regards-
can be through the one-to-ones that we have with each of them.
be possible to move that through the board's, consensus to 1.2, because
Yeah,
1.1 effectively communicates, and then that'll move us right down to accepts. Because so the superintendent is effectively communicating. And then at the other part,
Yeah,
It's the board is communicating to the superintendent.
so that becomes 1.2, that separate piece. That's good, and that's all I had, President Flores, for changes. Thank you.
That's the superintendent make those adjustments.
So we're totally taking out 1.2.
No, we added, we
We-
put that one
Down.
single thing as 1.2 coming after number 1.1. Then we move the 1.2 on your sheet to 1.3.
So we move everything
Or
down.
five,
Yeah.
move everything else down, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Nice, good job, you guys, thank you very much.
And just, I guess, to go through the officers, Secretary Trujillo, do you have any recommended changes? Or, additions that we can discuss that you might have found or want to add to the evaluation tool?
Well, to me, what you've, I would consider tweaking, but what, to me, I was looking at it from Superintendent, Layton's, perspective. But again, seeing it mesh together and come together and just reading it as it were, the suggestions of, of our attorney, and then, and just putting it into the format that we have in existence, just seeing, you could see it so much better. But having him review it and make sure that he agrees with it, and then just adding or deleting anything that we would want to adjust. I'm sorry, there's another call coming in. That's okay. But that, to me, that's the only thing, everything that we've adjusted, I can't, it's fine to me. It looks good.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo. Board Member King, in your review, did you find anything you wanted to add or critique or change?
I think less is better. We've got, we're
Do
trying to merge. No, I totally,
you have any comments or anything?
no, I think this is, yeah, I think it's a good working template, and it's a good place to start. I think we've added things where we can elucidate comments if need be, area of growth. I like that.
If you don't mind, Superintendent, is there a way that you could get that printed?
Yes, I
And
can.
then we could just briefly review it, and then I think we could move forward to approving it. Yes, sir.
Give me a brief moment.
I actually have one other concern, maybe. These rectangles are not very big if we're gonna be expected to write our comments in there.
So the comments are on the bottom.
Oh, you put them down here, so here comments are quite perfect. Okay, it's down there. Got it. Thank you. I was gonna say that'd be really small writing. All right, good.
Let me get to, well, if we're using.
All your other ones.
I'll be right back.
And I just want to acknowledge the board and their work on this. This is something that hasn't been done in 10, in 11 years, so I think it's very positive.
And you know, Mark, and President Mark, to me, I think that I think bringing clarity and just being very bringing clarity, but the other word is just structure to the relationship that we have, and to see, we want to see the best in him, and in outcomes, and in our relationship with you know, him with the board and us with him. That's, to me, that's what, and keeping it simple, keeping it very, very clear. That we have a clear message, and he understands, and he's accepting of the evaluation document that we're going to evaluate him by.
Thank you, Secretary Trujillo. I agree.
Oh, gosh.
And another thought that I just had, and that's the word expectations. I think that just becomes very clear in this document, that these are the expectations.
Yeah, no worries. How about we take a 5-minute break and we'll stop the recording. We can. We get the copies. There's a good date tonight, is that?
Kathy, I'll call you back. I'm in a Zoom meeting. Oh. Here you go. Come here, Sandra. Did you wash your hands? Did you wash your hands? Alessandro. Alessandro.
Okay, for the record, the board entered into a quick break so that the superintendent could make copies of the revised evaluation that has been discussed amongst the board. We have the revised copies, which I will go ahead and read through so that Secretary Trujillo, who is on Zoom, can participate.
Here.
So through the revisions, Part 1, job responsibilities of the evaluation of the superintendent. Category 1, board relations. The superintendent provides leadership to accomplish the board's goals and actively communicates progress on those goals to all members of the board. The superintendent works effectively with the board to formulate district policy, defining mutual expectations of performance with the board, and demonstrates good school governance to the board. The superintendent works effectively with the board to administer all policies established by the board. The board, through discussion and revisions, has come up with 6 metrics in category 1. 1.1 is the superintendent effectively communicates and works with all members of the board, including but not limited to board meetings. 1.2 is superintendent seeks and acknowledges constructive critique through open dialogue with the board. 1.3 is anticipates events which may require board awareness and attention. 1.4 recommends appropriate policy issues to the board for their consideration. 1.5 is interprets, executes, and supports all board policy. 1.6 maximizes communication with the board regarding district fiscal reports. Any discussion on that item? We're moving to category 2, communications. The superintendent demonstrates and utilizes the skills necessary to establish effective two-way communications, not only with students, staff, and parents, and the community as a whole, including beneficial relationships with the media. The superintendent responds appropriately to community feedback and builds community support for the district. The board identified 4 metrics for this category. Metric 2.1 is develops formal and informal techniques to gain external perceptions of the district. 2.2 demonstrates effective communication skills, written, verbal, and nonverbal context, formal and informal settings, large and small group, and one-on-one environments. 2.3 promotes and invites involvement of all stakeholders to fully participate in the process of schooling, seeks and values input from a wide range of sources. 2.4 understands the role of media in shaping and forming opinions, as well as how to work with the media. Category 3, instructional leadership. The superintendent promotes the success of all students by facilitating the development, articulation, implementation, and stewardship of a vision of learning that is shared and supported by all members of the school community. The superintendent supports the success of all students by advocating, nurturing, and sustaining a school culture and instructional program conducive to student learning and staff professional development. 3.1, the board identified 5 metrics on this one. 3.1 reads collaboratively sets priorities in context of improving student achievement. 3.2 articulates, monitors, and promotes high expectations for teaching and student learning. 3.3 develops, communicates, and implements a collective vision of comprehensive school improvement. 3.4 formulates procedures for gathering, analyzing, and using district data for decision-making. And 3.5 ensures that principals through classroom observations and the evaluation process provides actionable and objective feedback to teachers and staff which adhere to state guidelines and regulations. Category 4, staff relations. The superintendent works effectively with staff to develop a strong district team. The superintendent is visible and accessible to staff and communicates effectively with them. The superintendent demonstrates respect for all levels of staff within the district and works to support the development of all members of the district team. The superintendent delegates and holds administrators accountable for decisions, progress of students, or lack thereof, with appropriate consequences in accord with applicable legal and procedural due process standards. The board identified 5 metrics in this category. Metric 4.1 is regularly visit staff workplaces while staff are engaged in work. 4.2 meets with staff regularly, formally, and informally. 4.3 solicits and utilizes staff input prior to making decisions affecting staff. 4.4 supports professional development for all staff. 4.5 fosters and supports an open and honest relationship with union representation, including but not limited to the collective bargaining process. Category 5, community relations. The superintendent is an educational leader who promotes the success of all students by collaborating with staff, students, families, and community members to respond to diverse community interests and needs. The superintendent promotes the success of all students by understanding, responding to, and influencing the larger political, social, economic, legal, and cultural context. The board identified 4 metrics for this category. 5.1 reads provides leadership for improving parent, student, community involvement in the schools. 5.2 formulates and implements plans for external communication, including communication of the school district priorities to the community and media. Provides leadership for developing a positive rapport between the school and the community. 5.4 understands and respects the diversity in the community. 6. Category 6, organizational management. The superintendent gathers and analyzes data for decision-making and for making recommendations to the board on the operations of the district. The superintendent demonstrates the skills necessary to meet internal and external expectations to effectively allocate resources to maintain a clean, safe, and healthy working environment for staff and students. There are 5 metrics in this category. 6.1 reads, as chief executive officer, demonstrates budget management, including forecasting, planning, cash flow management, account auditing and monitoring, purchasing, budget development, bond issuances, and stays informed of current legislative funding opportunities.
Awesome.
2, collaboratively develops and monitors long-range plans for district information technology systems, fostering informed decisions for staff technology needs. I wonder if we should put student and staff technology needs on 6.2.
Yeah, I like both.
6.3 reads, demonstrates knowledge of school facilities and develops a process that builds internal and public support for facility needs to ensure proper functioning facilities. 6.4 establishes procedures, practices, and communication for dealing with emergencies such as weather, threats to the school, student violence and trauma, ensuring a conducive educational environment. Monitors personnel procedures. 6.5 monitors personnel procedures for effective recruitment, employment, and retention of highly qualified teachers, administrators, and other personnel, including a fair and meaningful employee evaluation system, promoting high expectations for all staff. That's a good addition, Superintendent. Thanks for putting that in. Category 7, values and ethics. The superintendent, as an educational leader who promotes the success of all students by acting consistently with integrity and fairness, the superintendent understands and models an appropriate value system, ethical behavior, and moral leadership. The superintendent exhibits multicultural and ethnic understanding and coordinates with social agencies and human services to help students grow and develop as caring, informed citizens. There are 4 metrics in category 7. 7.1 reads, promotes and models a high standard of moral and ethical behavior in all interactions throughout the district. 7.2 demonstrates integrity in all actions by manifesting a professional code of ethics and values. 7.3 explores and develops ways to find common ground in dealing with difficult and divisive issues. 7.4 assures a safe physical and emotional environment for students and staff. Part 2 is annual goals. The annual goals developed jointly by the board and superintendent based on the Taos Municipal Schools strategic plan. Foundation goals are listed below. These are the components of the superintendent's mid-year in December and the annual summative evaluation, which shall be completed by the board before June 30th. The superintendent's goals for the school year 2024 through 2025. There are 5 goals that align with our strategic plan. Goal 1, student achievement. Goal 2, educator excellence. Goal 3, family and community engagement. Goal 4, culture, climate, wellness, and school safety. Goal 5, systems, operations, and policies and procedures. And part 3 is the overall summary and comments. I do have one comment here. The media is mentioned in 2 areas here. It's mentioned in category 2, communications, which is 2.4. Understands the role of media in shaping and forming opinions as well as how to work with the media. And then in
Community relations.
the community relations, there's a media component there. Formulates and implements plans for external communication, including communication of the school district, priorities to the community and media. I guess it's both have in place there. I was just,
Noticed that too.
President Mark,
yes,
the goals are there, but you know what we left out initially from the strategic plan was the vision. That kind of just encompasses everything. I don't know. Okay,
Pretty sure.
yeah, so,
we could put that in, but I thought, you know why I say that is because a lot of people ask, well, what is the vision of the school? And it has to flow through the superintendent to the staff, to the kids, for them to be able to engage in ultimately that should be predominant, a covering. I think if somebody else might have another opinion.
Did you want to consolidate the media thing or?
President Mark.
yes, Member King.
In regards to your point, I think you're right, board member, Susan, but if all these things are being addressed, the vision is gonna be there. He's gonna, by his or her, the superintendent's actions, implementing this, there's gonna be a clear, accomplishing the duties, which the vision is going to be there, because ultimately the vision is the student's success and their metrics. I know I think I talked to President Mark about this a little bit, we chatted about it, but I think this is a good tool for now, but the vision will actually be there with the job performance. I think we could,
If it would be documented, it would be something, but if not, again, it's like you said, everything that is in that doc, in what we've prepared, it just goes into that place, but ultimately it's a student success. And that's what it all says.
and what you're saying too, just look at page 9. Oh, you're not here. Page 9, I think, highlights what you're saying in the vision. Comments, in regards to significant I said achievement, that can be very specific in vision form. All those things can be, I think that, and I totally hear what you're saying though, for sure.
Or just on that phrase, just say the achievement and vision. And student success.
Yeah, I said you're not here, but on page 8, it has student achievements. And I think that's gonna totally tie into what you're saying about vision. And
Okay.
it's got, no, it totally, I hear what you're saying, and but I know it, 1 is number 1, and that's really why we're all here.
Do you have by chance, Superintendent, a copy of our strategic plan?
Also, Susan, I don't think you have this, but under part 2, annual goals that board member King was just referring to, goal 4 says culture, climate, wellness, and school safety. There's a lot of things in here that respond to
This is fine, Superintendent.
vision.
I just,
All that, it all says it, but
Right.
it's so cool to be, just say, it, at the end of the day, it's to, how would you say, what word would I use? To achieve the student, to achieve student success,
Secretary Trujillo.
Yes.
So in this strategic plan, which I have here in my hands, the vision of the district says inspiring learners to achieve lifelong success through teaching, learning, collaboration, and engagement. We could include the vision in here, but I think the whole thing encompasses that vision. So the vision as it reads in the strategic plan is inspiring learners to achieve lifelong success through teaching, learning, collaboration, and engagement. All of these points here throughout the 7 evaluation categories talk about, inspiring learners. We talk about achieve lifelong success. I mean, we could include the vision maybe on.
If I may, President Flores, part 2 annual goals. We could potentially, there's a recommendation here, the annual goals developed jointly by the board and superintendent based on the town's municipal school strategic plan foundational goals, including based on the vision based on Taos Municipal Schools vision
Or listed below.
and strategic plan foundation goals. are listed
Perfect.
below.
I think that's perfect.
Because the annual goals are what listed below, right?
Mhm.
That's developed by collaboration between myself and the board. That is developed jointly by the board based on the Taos Municipal Schools vision and strategic plan foundational goals.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, we just need to add the word vision there and then you
And.
reference that.
And the word and also I think it is foundational goals,
Yeah, it
not
says
foundation.
Okay, so foundational
Correct
goals.
that.
No, you know what? The Taos Municipal School Strategic Plan foundational goals and vision are listed below. That's where we could put the and
But
vision.
the vision isn't listed below in particular.
No, the goals, the first three words right there, the annual goals, that is what's listed below. But the annual goals are based upon the school strategic plan foundational goals and vision.
Yeah, I would put vision first.
Vision first?
And I think it's
Based on.
easier to picture.
On the Taos Municipal Schools vision and strategic plan foundational goals.
Yep.
Yes.
That's really. President Mark, when you have time, I had two other just typo type of things.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, well, one was under category 6, organizational management on page 6. Under 6.2, President Flores suggested that we have that last sentence read decisions for student and staff technology needs. And then 6.3 needs a period after facility.
You got it.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. I
Good
checked
job.
all the rest of the periods are there. I'm such a nerd.
Well, I had
Such a
mentioned, to Anna.
I'm such a nerd, I'm sorry.
That's why we're here.
That's right. Let's make it right. Let's make it
Well,
right.
it's.
If it's not perfect, we're not leaving to go watch the debate, let's just say that.
Well, this is gonna be one more review and
You want me to print one more up?
Yeah, then we can be done.
And just, President Rosie, if I may, would you like to finish the reading? And then I can print the updates. And then all we need to do at that point is just review the update or the changes, the revisions based from this conversation.
Okay, so in finishing the reading, we're on the part 3. Is the overall summary and comments. Overall summary consists of unsatisfactory, needs improvement, meets expectations, and exceeds expectations. Listed comment section is significant achievements with comment box, areas for growth, the comment box, superintendent's comments, and board comments.
Right.
And at the bottom, it's has an area for the superintendent's signature and that of the board president's signature approving the evaluation of the superintendent. So with that, we just have a couple changes to be made, and I guess, did you want to do those now or?
I think it'd be best if we do it now.
Okay.
Take a quick minute and then knock it out of the park.
Okay, we'll take another 5-minute break
Grand
and
slam.
we'll finish this off. All right.
Is it good, honey? Alessandro? Was it good? I'm glad, baby. You were hungry, huh? Alessandro. Oh. Do you have my phone? Did you take my phone? Where's my phone? you see my phone anywhere?
Call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying.
Hi, no, like I said, the reason I totally spaced out the meeting was we had an emergency with my mom. And we're just revamping all our care for her and stuff and so it's just like, it's totally focused on her right now. But yeah, I'm so glad that at least I was able to be on this. I'm just waiting for my sister to call because they're bringing in a hospital bed for her. So anyway,
Well, thank you for sharing. So you can still hear you on the computer, but it's not being recorded.
yeah, no, that's okay. That's fine.
Okay, well, we're good to
Okay,
go.
I'll let you
We'll
go.
be here shortly.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
I'm on a 5 minute break. Oh, he just finished dinner. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna be on the parade. Okay, so what is that tomorrow with their looking? Oh, they have to do a neon. Neon thing, so we have to find a shirt tonight and get that. And he has a bright shirt that he can wear. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Oh, okay. Okay, all right, bye. I can't hear. Hi, I can't hear.
So they called for vote.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. This 10.